Hey guys, welcome to Mr. Smith's Kitchen. Brian, Mr. Smith Kitchen, and as always. And tonight, since you stopped by, yeah, I was hoping somebody would. I'm glad you did. We're going to do a white bean and pork. All right, white beans and pork. Now, wait before you run off. It's not the kind that I know my mom used to make back in the day. And depending on your age and who you are, I'm sure your mom may have made it the same way, and it was basically just soup beans with a ham in it, and then you were required to put ketchup on it to kill the taste, because it was just horrible. White soup beans and ham was just like, in my mind, the worst thing ever. This, on the other hand, is not that. Yes, it has white beans in it. Yes, it has a pork product in it, but that's about the extent of it. This one has garlic and vegetables, and the white beans in this case, even though the recipe we used, so we've made this several times. I actually made a video about this a couple years back that I'm doing over, much like I did last week, because it's not a very good video, but this is a very good dinner, and I really want you guys to be able to try it. I've got a handful of videos I want to redo. These are just two of them, and I'll pepper them in here and there as we go. But normally I would put white chili beans in this, but oddly enough, the grocery store was out of white chili beans, and I wasn't driving all over town for white chili beans, so I bought Great Northern beans, white beans, and I'm just gonna put my chili seasoning in it, or you can choose a packet of chili seasoning to throw in it, either way, but we'll discuss that when we get there. But I thought, well, I mean, when I make my own chili beans, which is what I would have used, they're Great Northern beans and a chili sauce, so it's not any different. And then, yeah, but then it's got bacon, it's got mushrooms, it's got carrots and garlic and green peppers and onions and just all kinds of goodness in it. So, that being said, if you're new and this is your first video, welcome. I'm glad you stopped by. I hope you check out some of my other videos and get something out of them. You know, we learned to cook here. You know, that's what we do. Almost everything that I do on my videos, almost, I mean, like tonight, it's something that I've already done before. It's something that I do for the first time, whether it's cooking or baking. And the thought process behind that is, if I can make it and be successful with it, surely you can too. Because I don't have, it's not like I specialize in any of this. It's just me, just my kitchen. I don't have a culinary degree. I don't have a baking degree. Everything I've learned by practice and doing it with you guys over the last 4 years now. 3 years, 3.5, 4 years. And that's kind of cool. And I share things I learned along the way, and you guys have shared things that you've learned along the way. If you are returning to my channel, or you are one of the several new subscribers in the neighborhood, thank you. And I'm glad you stopped back by. That means you enjoyed my company at least a little bit. On that same note, don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Notification bell is right next to the subscribe button. That way you know when my videos come out, and you don't have to like watch them right then and there, but you know, at least let you know that, you know, they're there to watch if you'd like. And comments are always welcome. I love comments. Have met some of the coolest people and had some really good conversations through comments. And I try to respond to every last one of them. But much like most people, I'm human, and I'm sure I've missed a couple down there somewhere, but if I have, I am sorry. That being said, we're gonna go ahead and get down to the counter and get this thing started, and enjoy some dinner. All right, hold on for me just 1 second. Okay, we are down here at the counter, and I've already got, all you'll need to make this with is literally a stock pot. I tell you a Dutch oven, but every time I try to use my Dutch oven, and it's a 6-quart, I never have enough room. So, stock pot, I've got about 2.5 tablespoons of oil down in there in the bottom. I have let it warmed up. As you can see, we got a little smoke going on, and our oil is dancing. You get that nice and even, and there's something on the bottom of my pan that's wanting to smoke a little too. Right here, I have got 6 strips of bacon. I chose thick cut bacon. You can use whatever bacon you prefer. And what we're gonna do is, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna brown this up. So I'm gonna go ahead and get that in there and we'll get it browned up. Okay, so we've got our bacon is cooked. I already took it out. We want to remove it from the pot. Because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to cook up some pork. Now you want 1 to 2 pounds of pork roast or pork shoulder, but you want it cubed. Okay, now remember I said that this was the pork that was left from when we made the pork chili 3 or 4 weeks ago. I was able to keep it. I cooked it up because I didn't know for sure what I was going to do with it, and then I froze it. You know, I put it in a sealed bag and vacuumed it and all the air out of it and froze it. That way I knew I'd have it for later, but it's not completely cooked. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm still gonna cook it, but you wanna do it in batches as to not crowd the pan. I did not take any of the bacon grease out of here, so we still got that flavor in there. Yeah, we want the flavor of the bacon grease in there. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this all browned up, and if you're using fresh, you want to get it seared and cooked most of the way through. It doesn't have to be all the way through, but most of the way through. Okay, so one thing I did forget to mention, and this will be especially if you're using fresh pork, cubed up into 1 to 2 inch cubes. Put a little salt on it. You're gonna do salt to taste, so I always do about a half a teaspoon because you can always add more later. But what that does is, and I'm just putting it in here for taste, because I already salted this when I braised it or seared it. Is it helps to tenderize the pork, just like anything else. Any other protein, when you add salt to it, salt helps to break down that protein and make it tender. So that way, plus we're going to cook this for a while on the stovetop, but we're going to get this cooked, and as these cook, I'll put them take them out and put them in a bowl. All right, so we got all our pork is braised, looking good, seared. Now I'm going to show you. See the bottom of the pan and all that on there? Do not scrape that out. You don't want to scrape that out. Now I still have some bacon grease and oil and whatnot left in the bottom of the pan also, and we need that. Matter of fact, because we're getting ready to put in 1 medium onion, 1 green pepper, and now I'm using shredded carrot because I had some in the fridge that needed to get used up from the vegetable pizza that Chris made, and but it would be 2 carrots, 2 regular sized carrots, and when we normally make this, I would cut the carrots in half and then just slap them in like half circles. Is the way I do mine, but you cut yours up any way you like. So what we're gonna do is, and I have 8 ounces of sliced button mushrooms. So we're gonna go ahead and get this stuff put in here. Preferably not the bowl to go with it. You don't want to cook the bowl; they don't taste very well. They taste like plastic. But we're gonna get these in here, and we're cooking everything on a medium heat. And that way everything cooks kind of quickly, and you can get a nice crisp look on it. But we're gonna cook these down until everything's soft, tender. Onions are starting to go translucent. Mushrooms look like they've been cooked. Smaller, wilted, kind of brown. But we're gonna give this about 5 minutes together, and then we can move on. All right, so we've starting to soften up. Everything's starting to soften up, and our onions are starting to turn translucent. So the next thing I'm gonna add to this, I've got 5 cloves of garlic right here that I have. I ran them through my garlic press, but you can mince them up or make them a little bigger, a little smaller. And that's the beauty of a lot of my cooking dishes, is there's nothing exact about them. You can almost everything that we've done together on this channel, I won't even say they're all mine. That's kind of a misleading statement, but all the recipes we've tried on here, they're almost all dinners that you can change and make your own. And some of them, I mean, a majority of them over time, me and Chris have. Like the French onion chicken we made last week. We make it differently than the recipe. I don't even remember the original recipe now. It's been so long. But we are going to cook these maybe 30 seconds to a minute We just want it to start smelling fragrant. You want to keep stirring at this point because that garlic, if it sits, it will burn. If it burns, garlic has a tendency to be very bitter. So we don't want that. We want the essence and the little bit of sweetness and savoriness that comes with garlic. So, as a matter of fact, I'm starting to smell it now, so we're in pretty good shape. You know, like I said, it can take 30 seconds, it can take 2 minutes. A lot of it just depends on how hot your oven is. Now, we still have some of that, you know, shenanigans at the bottom of the pot. So what I'm going to add to this is a 1/4 cup of white wine. Now, let's say you don't like wine. Well, if you don't like wine, then you probably don't have any, and that's okay. You can just add another 1/4 cup of, because we got chicken broth that's going to go in. You can just add that chicken broth to it. But you can add a 1/4 cup more chicken broth. But we had some white wine in the fridge from the holiday, and I wanted to get it used up. And so I poured that in there and then got rid of the rest because white wine isn't really a thing here. Chris likes wine, but she likes red. Not a big fan of white. And it was okay, it was kind of bland. But, so we've deglazed. So the next thing I want to add to this is, and here's where it gets, I don't quite follow my original recipe. Since I didn't have chili beans, white chili beans, I'm creating my own. So I've got a 1/2 cup of tomato sauce right here that I'm going to put in here. And basically the tomato sauce and the chili seasoning I'm putting in here would be the equivalent of what I would put in to 6 cans of chili beans, white chili beans, if I were canning my own beans. So if you don't have white chili beans on hand, but you happen to have white Great Northern beans, you can run that and follow what I'm doing right here. Or don't worry about the tomato sauce, don't worry about the chili seasoning, and just use a total of 6 cans. Well, we're gonna put 5 in right now, and I'll show you what to do with the 6th one here after a bit. But use the cans of chili beans instead. So I got my 1/2 cup of tomato sauce in there, and then I've got 1 ounce of chili seasoning. Like I said, in this case, I made my own, which I can put a link down below for this chili seasoning. I have a spice mix video that I did that has all kinds of stuff to make your own ranch seasoning, to taco seasoning, fajita seasoning, pumpkin spice. It has quite a few things on it. So we've got that in there. So we've got our tomato sauce, we've got our chili seasoning in there. The next thing we're going to add is 1 quart of chicken stock. Get that in there. Now, if you're buying it from the store, it would be one box, the regular size box of chicken broth is 1 quart. Or 4 cups. Got that in there. Add beans and pork. Okay, so we gotta put that in there, just like such. Sorry, I mean it has been a little while since I made this, and I couldn't remember what was next. Got that in there. Now we're gonna put in our 5 cans of beans. Just like such. And since I'm just using plain navy or Great Northern beans, I rinsed them. That way I didn't have the juice they came in on, because I want them to have that chili taste. Put that in there, just like such. And then we can go ahead and put our pork back in there. And we've got all that flavor of the bacon, the pork, vegetables, the olive oil. Oh, it looks so good. Might be a bit much on the pork, but can you really have too much meat? So we got that in there, and then with this bacon, I am going to put about half of it in the pot, and then the other half we'll use for garnish, you know, on the top of it when it's done. And so and beans. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're going to let this, I'm gonna put the lid on it, and we are gonna let this simmer for about 45 minutes. What we're looking to do is give me time to clean this mess up, but we want to soften that pork, right? I mean, it's already mostly cooked, and we've tenderized it a little bit with that salt, but we want to finish cooking it long enough that it's tender. Yeah, it's not going to be fall apart like we put it in a slow cooker, although you could do this in a slow cooker. You could do almost the exact same thing in a slow cooker. You wouldn't even have to cook your stuff. You would just 6-7 hours in a slow cooker, but we're cooking it this way. So 45 minutes at a simmer, and then when I come back, we'll add the last few things. And okay, so we've been about 45 minutes on our beans and our pork. Now I tasted it about, I don't know, 10-15 minutes ago, and I've been stirring it about every 15 minutes, and I added a little more salt to it. All right, and I did add some pepper to it, so I added about a total of a teaspoon of salt, and then I added a half a teaspoon of pepper to it. And what we want to do now real quick is check our meat, see where we're at, and we are getting tender. You know, it's just kind of, you know, not quite falling off the fork yet, but we don't want it to, but it is tender. That way I can tell you that will be tender to the touch. It just is pulling apart. So that means it's going to be good otherwise. So go ahead and throw the lid back on there real quick so I don't lose that heat. Now, I said we use 6 cans of beans. We put 5 cans in and reserved a can. And what we're going to do is we're going to smash this up a little bit, just like such. Alright, so we got them smashed up a little bit. Now, we're not making refried beans. So, you can see in there, yeah, which, yeah, you can. They're smashed, but they're not completely smashed. They're broken more than anything. And we're going to take that, and we're going to add that to our pot. And what that's going to do is it's going to help thicken it up. You know, just a little bit. You know, it's going to give it that bean soup feel, you know, to it. Maybe if I can get it out of the pan or out of the pot. I'll tell you, this plastic is being difficult today. First it wanted to be cooked, now it's not wanting to let things go. Alright, we got that in there. Give that a good stir around, break it up a little bit from where I smashed it into the form of the bowl. Just like such. This smells delightful. And sorry, you can only, I guess, only see the bottom half of my face, but that's alright. And then the last thing I'm going to put in this pot until we eat it, I have diced up 2 jalapenos total. The recipe only calls for 1, but I want some to sprinkle on the top of mine afterwards. So I'm going to put about half of this, not quite half, into the pot with it. You know, and I waited till now to put it in there, and I wish I knew the reason why I wrote this recipe out this way when when Chris told me the recipe, because it's actually hers. She brought it with her when we got together 20 years ago, but so I don't know where it came from originally, but that's just the way the recipe reads, so that's what we're doing, and it's always worked out. I know, and I have a feeling it's so they don't get too soft, or maybe it's so you don't get a whole lot of heat. Now, those jalapenos, when I diced them up, I took the ribs, I cut them open, I took the what's called the placenta, that's the sac that holds the seeds, and I took the ribs out of it. That's where a majority of the heat lies, is in those 2 parts. I'm not looking so much to, you know, melt my tongue as I am just to provide a flavor. So now we're gonna let this get back up to a simmer, and we're gonna let this simmer for about another half hour, 45 minutes. We're just looking to get that meat as tender as possible. That's all we're doing. That is our end game right here, is to let this simmer until the meat is not quite fall apart, but close to fall apart. And then we can try it, right? So I'll see you here in just a second, but for me it'll be about a half hour or so, and we'll take a look and give it a shot. All right, see you here in a minute. All right, so we let it cook. Let our pork and white beans cook for another half hour. I went ahead and I got it off the stove top, and I've been letting it sit here, calm down a little bit, right? Because like anything else, you don't want to, jump on it right away. It'll just melt your face off, is what it comes down to. So let me bring you over for a better look, so to speak. If I can do this without destroying everything. But there we are. I mean, it looks just quite delicious, in my opinion. You can't beat that with a stick. And it smells fantastic. I mean, just fantastic. Let me get you back up here on the counter. Sorry if I'm making anybody ill with all the movements, but I don't mean to. I would fire my cameraman, but he's the only one I got. And without him, we just don't have much of a show. Someday though, someday, I'll have a new cameraman. I promise. One that will work better for us. Maybe, someday. But anyhow, let's go ahead and... It's still blazing hot. I mean, just blazing hot. I mean, I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's some serious steam coming off this bad boy. It's not playing around. I mean, it's still wanting to attempt to melt our face. But we're not gonna let it. So we'll go ahead and get a couple decent ladles out here. Oh, it smells amazing. And then we're gonna take I got some cheddar cheese shredded up. Get that on top. A little more, because why not? It's fantastic. Get some jalapenos, put that on there. Why not? They're fantastic. And we'll take some of that bacon we set aside for later use, and we'll put it on top. I know, why not? It's fantastic. All right, and there we are, my friends, in all its fame and glory. If you guys ever happen to wonder why I look down, my laptop's right there, and when I shoot, I can see myself on the laptop, and because I can't see real good into the little 4x3 video screen that's on here, at least not at the angle that it's at when I'm looking more towards the counter. Now, like here, I can see it great. Another thing, because I know somebody's going to eventually ask, like right now, my cover for my stove is back on, but I just took this off like 10 minutes ago. If you could look, the light's still on, showing that it's warm. I have a gap about that big between the stovetop. It's about an inch between the stovetop and the board. That way airflow can still get through there, and I can put it back on with it being not like freshly turned off, but close to freshly turned off. I've owned this now I made this 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, and I have done that every time since. I started out doing it because of Abby. When she was younger, I didn't want her to burn herself on the stovetop if it was still warm. So it was easier to just put the cover on it, and in the beginning it was damn the consequences, so to speak. Hopefully it didn't catch fire. Well, I have found out over the last 4.5 years that there is enough of an air gap there. It still cools down normal. Light just went off. And there's not an issue. But I didn't want somebody to think, oh, well, he's been letting that sit there for hours. It's going to be ice cold, or that I've done some tomfoolery or shenanigans. No, I have the ability to be able to put my cover on my stove while the stovetop is still hot. So that being said, I just wanted to cover that real quick because I was thinking about it when I was putting the cover back on. I was like, these people are going to think that either I'm trying to catch the house on fire or that I'm not really playing by the rules and this has been sitting around for a minute. Nope, this is live in front of no audience. So, well, you guys, but it's not live in front of any live audience at any rate. We are going to give this a shot. Tastes just like it always does. Wonderful. The only thing I didn't put on it that I would normally put on it, and it would be a topping, is hot sauce. The amount of jalapeno we put in there doesn't really give it any heat. And you don't want to dump a bunch of hot sauce into the entire pot. That's more of a personal preference thing. But yeah, that's just, you can taste everything. I mean everything. You can taste the chili seasoning. The beans are good. Like I said, this isn't like back in the day when at least my mom would make soup beans with ham. This is like next level gourmet soup beans with ham. Because it's not ham, it's pork roast. It's tons of flavor. And I can tell you, as good as it is fresh off the stovetop, and it is quite delicious off the stovetop, it's even better the next day. Just like chili. So, you know how like most chilies, they're fantastic that day when you make them, but then after it's sat in your fridge overnight and everything's really had a chance to just get a hold of each other, that's kind of the way this is. Well, it's not kind of, it is the way this is. And it'll be good for 2-3 days. You can freeze it. Just put it in a freezer safe container, and it's good for a couple, 2, 3, 4 months. 4 months. We freeze it every once in a while. We freeze a good majority of our stews and soups. That way we have them for down the road, and they last longer. And we're not, you know, because a good possibility, me and Chris may be the only ones to eat this. You know, like I made hodgepodge stew the other day, or soup the other day, which is another amazing dish. And it's same 12 quart pot, and I made about 10 quarts worth. Well, I can't eat 10 quarts. The kids don't really eat. They'll eat it the night it's made, but after that, they're pretty much done with any leftover thing for the most part. So, and then Chris will eat on it, but we can't eat 10 quarts worth of, by the time it's said and done, 10 quarts worth of soup in a fair amount of time. So I will freeze it. But anyhow, that being said, give us a try. I guarantee you're gonna love it. And there's enough there. You can invite the neighborhood over and get it and have them try it, get to know them, be friends and neighborly, and it'll be awesome. You can serve this with corn chips, or tortilla chips, or bread, or toast, or, but it's a meal in a bowl. You could have tacos with it. Tacos would be good. Maybe. I don't know. But there's a variety of things. I know we're going to have corn chips. But anyhow. Let me know if you try it. Leave me a comment down below. Or jump over on Facebook. And either me or Chris will catch it. I guarantee it. Or Instagram. Or Messenger. We pretty much hit every social media outlet but TikTok. And I don't know if we're ever going to be there. But anyhow, let me know. So tomorrow for dessert, we are going to do a sand torte. It's cake. It is very similar to a pound cake. It sounds amazing. It too, much like this, had wine in it. It has rum in it. But much like this, It's not like you're gonna get drunk off of it. It's simply for flavor. And I think it should add a lot of flavor. I haven't actually tried it yet, but that's what we're gonna make. It is a recipe out of B. Dylan Hollis's cookbook, and I really want to try it. It sounds good. It was created in the early 1900s, and I think it'll be fun. So until tomorrow for dessert, I love you. I love you very much, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Tell somebody else that you love them and you love them very much. They may need to hear it. It's gonna make them feel better to hear it. It's gonna make you feel good to tell them that. And if you make them some of this pork and white beans, guaranteed, they're gonna know that you care. Their belly's gonna be full. You're gonna have hours of conversation. And that's important. You know, this will get your family to the table and everybody can sit down and talk. You know, or your friends over. I guarantee it. They're gonna be like, oh, Brian's or you're making pork and white beans? I'll be there. You know, I guarantee it. It's not like back in the day. So, till tomorrow for dessert, I love you. I'll talk to you then. Bye.